best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk. Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sackheads. Sackheads.
Radio.
Sackheads. Sackheads.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
Into the silo.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Why, hello.
Why, hello. Welcome to another edition of Sackheads Radio Show. I'm your host, Sackhead Clint. Sitting with me in spirit.
Or drinking spirits. I don't know which one it is.
Drinking spirits while sitting an ocean away. It may be two oceans away. It may be two oceans. Is my friend and co-host Sackhead Sean. This is the 19th of August, 2015, the Sackheads Radio Show. Welcome. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
Living the dream.
Well, yeah. I don't know whose dream it is, but if I catch the bastard, they're in trouble.
Nightmares or dreams? It's just a very positive thing to say. You could be having a horrible day and you can say, I'm living the dream, and just be having a complete nightmare day, and you're still being positive.
And if there's one thing we are on this show, it's positive all the time.
Right, I'm positive our country is going to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah, well, you know, gosh, there's so much to talk about. And, of course, I missed last week. I had so much to say last week. This 2 hours is going to fly by because you know as well as I do, neither one of us is going to be able to shut up for the next 2 hours.
I'm sorry, were you saying something?
About it. No, not even kind of.
Okay,
I was
good.
just rambling on. Please, don't let me get in the way of your show, Clint. I would hate for that to happen.
Listen, okay, I had to start everything up. Did you know there's these things called...
Here we go.
Did you know there's these things called power buttons on the magic box that Brad cost us to the universe? I never knew this. You were trying to explain this to me. And you're like, it's the button in the upper right-hand corner. I'm like, which one? You're like, no, that's the delete key. It's the button.
Well,
And I'm like, this one? You're like, that's the P.
The fact that I said...
That's the letter P. It's not for power. That's actually just the letter P for typing.
The fact that I said power button and you turned around and said, wait a minute, this thing takes power?
Right.
The thing that bothered me the most is, you know, I don't like it when you try to act smarter than when you are about some subjects.
Right.
You know.
No, I don't know, because I'm usually smart about...
Last year, bumper music. I can nail that. You know.
I remember that.
But when you immediately go to 1.21 gigawatts and start talking about the flux capacitor, I know that you're not in the same ballpark.
Right, because I went into that zone where I was just in there and my fingers were flying and magic was happening. I thought with the voodoo doll and the Ouija board.
Well, and he's also on the mouse wheel, right? Like a hairy little ferret that he is.
Right, like a little hamster, like just running along. Like, I didn't know. I was like, sorcery. That's how Sacco gets the show on, sorcery.
He does. Well, you know, with all that hair, he has to have some sort of redeeming quality, and it happens to be magic.
Well, and that's how I thought he got so hairy. I've never seen a human being like that. So everything made sense. Like, in my mind, I had all the evidence I needed.
Exactly.
And the best part was when you said, okay, power up the soundboard. And I'm looking at this soundboard, and there are like 1.7 billion buttons on this thing. And so I spent about 20 minutes looking at each one, and I'm like, yeah, I don't see a power button. You said, okay, look on the back.
Right.
And I said, oh.
And here's the best part. You asked my back?
Right. Right. Because that's a difficult way to turn me on, I'm not going to lie. But we were talking about the soundboard.
Oh, man. But we were somehow able to power through it. And you, my friend, once again impressed me because for a guy who I literally had to show how to make a phone call on his cell phone, you were able to get it together.
Well, it's a jitterbug. I don't know how these things work. My favorite part, though, was the technical difficulty was on your end. And I was sitting back just going, yes.
It's almost like when you want somebody to fail, but you can't say that you want them to fail.
Right, because we got a show starting in 30 seconds.
And hope for their demise.
Right. I was like, this is great. I actually nailed my end of it, and I'm watching Sean struggle.
Right. You know, it's kind of like us with Hillary's campaign, right? We're just sitting there secretly hoping and publicly hoping it implodes. But secretly, we hope not only does it implode, but she's going to go to jail first.
Right, or prison.
Whichever one works, right? I don't know which one it is.
Prison. It's prison.
Oh, man. So, other than that, how was your week, sir?
It was the last... Okay, so it was a rough week. The Oakland A's had a 7-game losing streak on the road. It was a rough week, I'm not going to lie. And then they came back home, and they were facing, last night, the number one pitcher in baseball. I think he has, like, the lowest, Kershaw. He has the lowest ERA, I think, in history, damn near. And they won. They went down 4-1 in the 8th, and I was like, yep, it's over. And then they came back, and then they won in extra innings.
Currently the manager for the Cleveland Indians, but he was the former manager of the Boston Red Sox. Won 2 championships with them. And Terry Francona and his old friend John Farrell Terry was able to be in town in time for him to join him with for his cancer treatment, for his first round of chemo and all that stuff. So, you know, through all of but through all the competition of baseball and everything, it's so good to see, you know, the true heart and spirit come through from certain guys and certain members of the team. And, you know, I wish John Farrell nothing but the best. He's a great baseball. The diagnosis is supposed to be very good.
Well, yeah, cancer. Yeah, that's great.
That helped.
Yeah, they threw a party.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah,
Clint. I really appreciate you. I can take the wind out of my gentle sails. It's you, my friend.
I've been accused of sucking the life out of many people, my friend.
Actually, no, I've met a few of them. By the way, I'm not going to be able to testify. Anyhow, what? I just wanted to point that out.
had me in charge of the server because I would have been believable. I'm like, this thing does what? Like if I said, oh yeah, wiped it with what, like a rag, like people would have believed me. They're like, hell yeah, that's Clint. He probably means that.
Right, exactly. The good part is, though, is for Hillary's people, they probably won't testify because if you look at the history of people that have testified with the Clintons, or were supposed to, it's not very good. So they have that going for them.
Well, the Clintons do, not the people that may testify.
Well, it's all tomato, perspective matters.
Right. Hey, so I have a question for you.
So, yes, sir.
Do you think that all of the people that Jared Fogle has helped to lose weight, and I'm asking you this for a very specific reason, character witnesses because he was such an inspiration to them to stuff their faces with Subway sandwiches? Since he's probably going to be going to prison.
Yeah. You know what? Do not pass go, do not collect. I don't care what a person's done for you. When you do what Jared Fogle has done, and it's now confirmed, right?
Well, I don't think he's pled yet, but he's supposed to.
Anybody in the,
so I think it's still alleged.
Right. No, I heard he signed the deal, and it's going to be up to 12 years in prison, a couple other things. Either way, second best newsman in the business, Dan Butcher's in chat. He said he has officially signed the deal that gets him 5 years in prison, so it is confirmed. He's guilty and will be absolutely enjoying a series, I hope, of at least footlongs.
Right. So now here's the capitalist in me. There's an opportunity. Contracts and go into the prison system to sell their wares for cigarettes. Or
I see where you're going with
or it. For money on inmate books. There's a celebrity going in there, right?
Oh, yeah.
But Jared wouldn't be allowed to work there because he has to actually order, I'll have the 6-inch or I'll have the footlong.
Well, absolutely, and he'll probably take the footlong, is my guess.
He looks like he can put.
Jared is up until Subway found him, and he was nothing but living in mom's basement as this fat little geek. To have a field day with him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just the jokes. Really, the jokes write themselves. I mean, can you picture, like, as he walks in, they're all singing the $5 footlong song? I mean, he just chanting from all the different tiers.
Now, he could be a capitalist. He could say, hey, $5 for a footlong, $2.50 for 6 inches. Like, he could make money in there.
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, he goes to a place of socialism now, so. So
Right.
you never know. Dan says in the chat room, one of the quotes will be, "Come here, sandwich."
So is he saying that they're going to have a sandwich with Jared?
Well, the sandwich joke alone is easy, right? I mean, we
Absolutely.
could go there all day with sandwich jokes.
Yeah.
I like Ken's idea of adding a bag of chips and a soda for just $2 more.
Right. Right. And oh, you have bread? No, you have buns now. So here's some meat. Right? Like, I mean, we could go all day.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Hey, what do you want on your sandwich? You know, it's really. Hope he has a miserable 5 years in jail and then a miserable life afterwards. Double meat, Ken says.
I'm sure that'll happen.
Ken's comment with the double meat. I can't even. You know what he won't hear when he goes to prison?
What's that?
Are you there?
Hey, boy.
Yeah.
Look what I got here. Hey, where are the white women at?
Yeah. He will not hear that.
He won't hear that unless they take an old mop and they put it on.
Like a weave.
So he might hear that.
Man. And that, you know, I'm so glad here we are. You forget it. I'll just move on.
No, please, go on.
As much as I would love to sit here and think new and exciting ways that Jared Fogel's life is going to be miserable here on the Sackheads radio show, we cover some other things, don't we?
No, this is news, and this is what we do. I actually do have a story. I have a story.
You know
what?
No. Go on, because just the jokes just keep lining up in my head. Jared will, according to Ken, Jared may share a cell with Hillary in the all-male prison. Well, that makes sense.
That's interesting. And she would give him meat too.
Oh man, yeah, I could see that. Right.
Right.
Here's the best part: is if Jared is sharing a cell with Hillary, she's gonna be in charge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's the dude. You know what I mean? That would be, yeah, and that's what Ken Dan just put in the chat room. Yeah, he would. I could literally see him being led around by a collar, and she's just selling him for cigarettes.
Right.
$5 worth of cigarettes, obviously.
And then using him whenever she wants too.
Well, of course. I mean, she's got to, enjoy it too. I was just thinking, why are we not copywriting this show right now? Prison Life, Jared and Hill, two dudes living in prison.
Right, or just call it Jared and Hill in prison. What's up, fellas?
Two guys in the yard, the story of Jared and Hill.
and then we can do a sequel, The Boys Are Back.
The boys are back. Oh, man. What else do we have on the big, wonderful board of topics?
So I have a story. So and the story I saw today, but I started thinking about it a few days ago. I went to the movies, and I went to a Regal Theater, and which is the company name, not like a very nice fancy theater, but there was a security guard there who was checking bags. Not a bag check, but literally searching bags and purses. And I thought about that. I asked him, I said, hey, he was checking bags. Oh, yeah, just looking. He didn't really comment too much on it. And I said, you should probably have a gun. And he kind of looked at me and goes, yeah, I wish I did. that they were doing like because of in response to the shootings, if it was something they were doing because maybe they had a threat at the theater, or maybe law enforcement gave them some information that there may be trouble, at a certain movie or whatever. So I didn't know, but then I saw this story that Regal Entertainment Group has actually began to check bags at their roughly 570 theaters across the country. And the reason they're doing it, and this troubled me even more that the security guard was unarmed, but the reason they're doing it is because of all of the shootings, the recent shootings at movie theaters. And so, of course, on one hand, okay, I can see they're trying to take care of their customers by ensuring a safe environment, I guess is their thought process. But then I thought, how stupid of them, because number one, they're just checking bags, and anybody that has spent any time with any kind of gun knows that, well, if you're going to take it in somewhere and you know they're searching bags, you're going to put it in a holster somewhere else or hide it somewhere else on your person. You're not going to put it in a bag. And what is this unarmed, single, by himself security guard going to do if he does find a weapon? Is he going to say, "Pardon me, citizen, will you please leave this fine establishment"?
Well, first and foremost, I understand Regal Theater's approach. I understand the fact that
they want to ensure safety.
They need... Right, and I listen. It's a private entity. I'm sure their hearts are in the right place, even if their brains are not.
And I'm not saying that they're not.
War on women,
right?
And here's why. Even duly and appropriately licensed gun-carrying women, some of them do in fact carry it in their purse. So now it's very much singling them out. Whereas a majority of males who carry their legal weapon usually carry it on their person. So the fact that they're only searching the purses, to me, is a war on conservative gun-carrying women. Now, that might be an exaggeration to some, certainly not to me. But more importantly, you're right. Let's say somebody does open up and there's a gun in there. What is this guy going to do? And I feel for him because he's in a bad spot, right? He's just trying to make a living. I'm not saying he's a bad guy.
Right. No, I'm not either. I felt bad for him, and that's why I said something to him.
Well, unless he's like a Krav Maga master, or I don't know, maybe he has the Force or something. I mean, right? Anything's. I don't know this guy from Adam. I don't even know Adam, to be completely honest with you.
So maybe they hired...
The reality is what it is. Listen.
Maybe they hired a bunch of Jedis.
What? Dude, Jedi security firm.
Yeah. It's a real lightsaber.
The reality is I feel for this poor guy because, he opens it up, say there is the bomb in there, right, or the gun or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. He has absolutely no way to respond other than to maybe grab the bag and yank it away. But even then, the fight is on. And like you said, most people who know they're going to be searching the bags, it's not going to be in the bag. And listen, Regal is a private entity, right? They can do whatever they want. If you're going to go in and you're going to be a customer of them, they have that ability to say, hey, you have to go through a metal detector, and just like you going into a concert, decision. But again, as we see, it's penny wise and pound foolish, right? It's all right. We're going to stick one person there to make everyone feel.
It's what's the best way we can protect our customers. Okay, it's having an armed response. Let's say even if you just want two individuals there with firearms, security or law enforcement, either one, but let's say security, private company, because they do have armed private security companies, and the training is for some of the companies is pretty good. Other companies maybe not so much. Let's do our research. Let's get a good company who's well insured, that their people are trained. We can verify their training records, and we have an armed response on site to mitigate any problem or any potential threats. And let's do a magnetometer. But if not because of cost, let's just have the force there in place, because that in and of itself can be a deterrent. And we know that from reading lots of the journals and so forth of people that commit these types of crimes. Like I think it was the Santa Barbara killer, when his journal was posted, went online, you could find it, you probably still can. He talked about wanting to commit a crime and commit the shootings in this one particular area, but didn't because there was armed law enforcement that frequented in that particular area. So, and then you have a group there, a force there that can respond with the appropriate force for that situation and truly protect moviegoers. Whereas the way they're doing it now, they have somebody there, person there, somebody gets scared they're going to get found out, they're either going to leave, which, fine, crisis averted in terms of how the movie company is, but what if not? That person is going to, that security guard, that guy or gal who's just trying to make a living, is going to be the first one taken out. And then you still have nobody there to respond. And if that security guard is not the first person taken out because somebody was smart enough not to put the gun in a purse or a backpack or whatever it is they're searching, puts it on their person, you still don't have anybody there who's capable of responding to protect your customers. So it's a farce.
And you know what?
It's half-assed.
And that's all it is. And you see it. And I know we're running quickly out of the segment, but you see it a lot in a lot of private firms where they have, it's the show, right? It's all about the image. Oh, there's a person in the uniform there, so everything must be fine. But the problem is all that's doing is appeasing the average person versus somebody who has ill intent to hurt somebody.
Yeah, it's not a meaningful change or a meaningful policy. It may have a slight deterrent effect, but for somebody who's truly bent on violence, it's not. You still have a non-starter there. You're doing nothing for what it is you're trying to accomplish. Now, if your goal is just to provide a visual deterrent, a minimal visual deterrent, and that's your stated goal, well then fine, come out and say that. But don't say it's really, security issues have become a daily part of our lives in America, which is what the website says. Well, if that's truly the case, well then do something meaningful about it. And I know we're up against a break right now. When we come back, we're going to get into our Clinton block, your favorite subject. And and it's not going to have anything to do with Jared's relationship with Hillary or a TV show.
We'll be back here on the Sackheads Radio Show live from the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians.
You got a business. You didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying half of the stupid promo.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border to coordination, we have to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to The Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. In Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
And we're back with Sackhead's radio show. I am Sackhead Clint. With me, I think, is Sackhead Sean from 2 oceans away.
Yes.
2 oceans and half of a continent.
Now I'm 2 oceans away.
And half of a continent.
Is gravity the same on your... Is gravity the same on your planet as it is on mine?
No. So interesting. Is gravity a force, or is it a depression in some sort of matter? For example, if you take a bowling ball and set it on a bed, and you put a marble along that depression, that bed would be something that like a matter, right? Some form of matter, and the bowling ball would be an object that's there. And if you put a marble anywhere on that depression, it will roll towards the bowling ball, not because of necessarily a force of gravity, but because of a warping of that particular matter. So is the universe itself truly devoid of anything, or is it in fact matter, where Earth and all these other things actually form depressions in it? And that's what gravity truly is. I don't know, Sean.
So Hillary Clinton has some issues. What the hell are you talking about?
Look, I read that somewhere once a long time ago. I have no idea where that surfaced from.
Every once in a while, this is just like you yelling gigawatts again. You just recycle things when you hear it in your head, right? You just, gravity bowling ball, it rolls towards the middle. I'm really smart, and I know how to do things. Apple Newton.
Did you say Fig Newton? Because that sounds really good right now.
I love Fig Newtons, man.
Okay, so I have a side story. So my kids were asking me the temperature, and I checked my phone real quick, and I gave them the temperature in Kelvin, and they thought that was the coolest thing in the world. So they are actually going around giving temperatures in Kelvin. It's beautiful.
Only you.
And one of them starting kindergarten, so that's just going to blow the teacher's mind.
Wait. See, now you have to go to Kelvin. Now, Mary wants to ask, no, I think Jared might be in Kelvin. I'm not in Kelvin. I don't know. I guess maybe I misunderstood the question. I think Mary just, Mary, the sweet, sweet Mary that we met in Las Vegas, our love, our sweetheart, our dearest friend, she just threw me under the bus, man.
What? Good.
know who Kelvin is, but apparently he's a good cuddler.
Here's what I want to happen. I want the teacher in kindergarten to say, "So it is 68 degrees Fahrenheit," and I want my kid to say, "Excuse me, it's 293.15 Kelvin." Is that too much to ask?
Yeah, because if there's one thing your children need is to draw more attention to themselves.
Right. That's my point. Thank you, Sean, for finally seeing something my way.
That's the point. Thank goodness we've made this point.
I want all the children. I think the United States should start telling all temperature in Kelvin. Why is no country doing this?
You know what? Whitehouse.org. Let's start the petition.
Official Sackheads Radio petition. Official degrees of official way to tell temperature in the United States should go to Kelvin. 10,000 signatures. That's all we need.
Dude, totally off subject. Do you remember when we tried to go in the metric system and how horribly that failed? Can you imagine if we tried to go to Kelvin? I mean, it's not even no, it's not even a possibility.
Here's the thing, Sean. This is different.
Because it's Sackhead's idea?
Yes.
Okay, I figured that was the... Can we just get to Hillary, please?
How much does Hillary weigh? Never mind. Did you hear she's going to testify in October?
Yes.
Okay, good block. Now, let's talk about Kelvin again.
Let's go back to Kelvin. Yeah. No, so Hillary scheduled, I think, mid-October.
October 22nd.
Testify.
October 22nd.
22nd. So that's mid-October for some of us. I think it's mid-October Fest, actually. Maybe that's what I was thinking.
And that's because everybody is going to need a drink after she's done spewing her vile and BS.
Well, and as we know now, you know what's going to be interesting? And we knew maybe 6 months ago, before all the server stuff really to come out, anytime Hillary would testify, we know that she would be kind of defiant and standoffish and just kind of trying to dictate the conversation how she wants it to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now, I think you're going to start seeing a more humble and quote-unquote victimized Hillary Clinton.
Oh, no.
That's the approach that her people are going to start taking.
Oh, no. Look how she just responded to the question from the Fox News reporter. Did you wipe your hard drive? Or what, with like a rag or something? No, she's not going to be more humble.
Well,
she's too pompous and arrogant and has too much self-importance for that, I think. Her people may want her to go that way.
I think that... Right. Well, and here's the thing. They know that this is kind of her last hurrah, right? If she doesn't get through this quagmire that's coming up that she self-created, and I'm glad she's in it, but if she doesn't get through this quagmire of October, then she's done. I mean, done. And I don't mean just done for this election. Like, she may be done and going to prison soon.
She may be. And
I think...
This really sucks not having you in studio.
I know, sorry.
Because I think the different time zones, and I don't know which one you're in exactly because it's unclear from the GPS exactly where you are in Antarctica. But there's a major delay, and I think maybe the NSA is messing with us again.
Well, you know, I don't know how the hell Sacco got this far out of our control this time that I'm all the way in Antarctica looking for him.
Look, it's your time. It's your turn to go get him.
This is obviously his fault.
It's your turn to go get him. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know, and this is what happens.
Yeah, I had to get him when he fled to Hawaii.
Here's the thing, though, Clint. With Hillary, I don't think she's ever been up to anything like this before. I think up to this point, with all of her past indiscretions, it's all been swept under the rug to this point, right? It's never progressed this far when the FBI is actually investigating her. And I think that's going to put a scare into her. And I think that you're going to see her change from this pit bull that she's been and just throwing out her venom and her vitriol as much as she possibly can, to all of a sudden she's going to take a little bit of that grandmother role, right? Oh, well, they're setting me up for this, and this is just, a Republican attack because of the election, and I would never do anything whatsoever. And if you just look, all they're doing is browbeating me, and all I want to do is be a good leader for this country, blah, 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 blah.
I don't think so, because I think the Clintons have potentially gotten away with so much for so long that she thinks that she's going to get away with something again. I mean, you already look at the double standard in how this investigation is being conducted versus other individuals who have gone to prison or faced prosecution for, really, in my opinion, are lesser offenses. Considering everything that it seems that she has potentially had a hand in or been up to or had knowledge of. Now, I really like Trey Gowdy, because Clinton seems to be saying that she's going to testify only one day and that's it. And Gowdy said on Fox News Sunday, he said, and the ground rules are simple. You're going to stay there until all of the questions are asked and answered with respect to Benghazi. If she's going to insist that she's only coming once, I'm going to insist that once be fully constructed, which means she's going to be there for a while. And
rightfully so.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. So he's basically saying, hey, listen, if you're going to tell us that you're just going to come in one time, pack a lunch, sweethearts. It's going to be a long day. Pack a lunch, toots.
Well, and it's going to be a long, long week, too.
Yeah.
Now, can they hold her, and I'm not 100% sure about this, but say she walks out after the first day and they order her back for a second day, can they hold her in contempt?
Yeah, I don't know. Can they order her back without a subpoena?
Well, and that's the thing.
Because she's agreeing to come in to testify.
Right.
Right? So if she's agreeing to come in to testify, what would prevent her...
The subpoena...
What would prevent her from getting up and walking out? Because even if they hold her in contempt, the Justice Department still has to prosecute that.
Right.
They're not the prosecuting body.
And here's the thing, too. Well, and here's the thing, and this is where even the Justice Department is, can say because she's under oath, she can be held in contempt. And I think that she will.
But there still has to be charges. There still has to be charges filed by the Justice Department, right? They still have to prosecute that. Just like Holder, he was found in contempt, but he never prosecuted himself.
But here's the difference. And the more I think about this, the more I start looking at the Democrats trying to hold power, right? Because this all comes down to politics at the end of the day. Now, they'll do to Sanders too, but right now Hillary's the bigger problem.
But will she do that?
You may see the Justice Department, huh?
But will she do that? I don't know that she will. I think she's got a little bit of that Trump ego.
You may see
where she would be like, "Yeah, I don't know if I'm not going to split the vote."
You may see a phone call to the Justice Department that says, "Yeah, we may need to go full bore on this because we need her to be dealing with charges versus running for president at this time."
How great would it be?
The thing about her server, right?
Yeah.
Huh?
I was going to say, how great would it...
The thing about her server is pretty simple. Everything that the FBI is going to be, and this is where they're kind of held in a rock and a hard place, everything that they discover on her server, even though the information itself may be redacted, as in other words, if it was classified, the classified information may be redacted, but the fact that they find classified documents on her server will be obtainable through the Freedom of Information Act, just the fact that they were there, not necessarily the content. So it's also going to put them in a bad place where they kind of have to, if it's proven, they will have to go forth and prosecute. And I think once everybody knows that's coming, because if they don't, people will go insane, and they know that. So,
but you know as well as I do. You know as well as I do that server's been wiped, and you also know that the public doesn't go crazy over this stuff because the public doesn't pay attention. Now, granted, more and more people I think are starting to pay attention, but how, after everything, is she still the front runner? And that's why I say that. How great would it be if Trump didn't get the nomination, and so he ran and split the Republican vote, and then Hillary didn't get the nomination, and she ran and split the Democrat vote, so you really had a four-way race.
Well, and here's the other thing, too, and Jersey Joe brought this up in the chat room a second ago. You may see Elizabeth Warren pressed into action. Now, here's the problem with Elizabeth Warren. So,
just one problem?
I think Hillary's going to have the staying power. I think Hillary's going to be forced to drop out. I think that's going to put Joe as the front runner. If they throw Warren into the mix, you have one socialist in Warren versus Sanders, who's another socialist, and then and now what you get into is, this is literally, and I'm saying this right now, I don't believe Hillary will make the primary. I don't believe that Joe's going to pull the numbers he needs to pull. And this is the GOP's race to lose right now. And honestly, the best thing for them to do is figure out their little BS as soon as humanly possible, and then attack the three Democrats. It's theirs to lose. It's in their pocket.
Look, I agree with you 100% that it is the GOP's to lose. However, Trump can absolutely screw that up if he doesn't get the nomination and if he runs third party.
I don't even think then it'll matter. I really don't. I don't think that.
I think it'll absolutely matter.
I think it'll split even more. And listen, I honestly believe that the Democrats are so sick of Hillary Clinton, and I think absolutely that the Democrats want to get away from Hillary Clinton. She's going prosecuted.
Did you say prosecuted or tooted? Prostituted or prosecuted? I didn't. I can't hear you being two oceans and a continent away.
No. You're going to see Jared prostituted by Hillary.
Okay, got it. So you said earlier about the secret emails, and there were two emails at least on her private server that an auditor deemed to be quote unquote top secret, and this included, there was discussion of U.S. drone operations and some other conversation that could point directly to classified material, and her group has come out and said, well, she's never sent or received anything that was classified at the time. And there was a report floating around out there that it was possible that a staffer stripped the classifications off of some of the emails at some point. And look, I think there's no doubt that classified information went through that server. How could it not? And I know there have been reports that there are approximately 300 right now potential emails that have potentially classified or secret information contained within them. So I don't think there's and all you need is one confirmed, right, to have a violation of law.
Right.
So what are the chances that out of the 50-some-odd thousand emails she turned over, the rest she destroyed coincidentally, that there's one that had some information that could be verified? I think it's almost an impossibility that that you can't have one. I mean, there has to be at least one, I would imagine. And once you have one, you have criminal act, and it'll be interesting to see, number one, if that comes out, and number two, if they actually prosecute her on it. But her whole demeanor in this thing, and I know you talked about she could go back to that whole grandmotherly role and everything else, but her whole and then you have her attorney with the thumb drives too, and he wasn't cleared to have that information. So do you go after the attorney now? I don't know what the optics of that looks like either. But then you have Clinton basically, making jokes when the press is asking her about this, very serious national security issue. She's very dismissive. She cracks a little joke and blows them off and is very cavalier about the whole thing. Making excuses, it's just the Republican Party out to get her. No, you had a private email server and were doing business as Secretary of State through it. That's kind of a big deal. People have gone to prison for yeah, go ahead.
No, that's fine. The one thing, everyone keeps pointing back to the server itself. All you really need, and I had a friend on a long time ago tell me this, but all you truly need is to prove that one email was sent to that server by a government email who is using her email address, or proof that she was forwarding emails from her government account to that server for quote-unquote simplicity. And we all know why she did it, so she can control what was on there. But all you need is to prove that it was sent. So she can wipe her server all she wants, but it's the Department of State servers that's the ones that I really want to see. And it's a lot like the IRS investigation, right? We lost Lois Lerner's emails, but now we're starting to find out that, there's other stuff out there. Same thing with this. All we have to do is prove that one classified email was sent to her from a State Department email or other government email, and you're on your way.
And I think they already have that, but again, there was that report of the staffer who may have stripped some of the heading or classifications off of those emails, and who knows at what point, if that occurred, who knows at what point it did occur. So there's a lot more investigation to go. I believe that the individual FBI agents that are investigating this, I know we give the FBI a hard time on the show a lot, deservedly so, but I think that the FBI agents that are handling this investigation will probably do a very good job. This is kind of their forte, kind of a paper crime, computer crime.
That's nerd work.
Right, sit behind a desk or in your mom's basement and hack away. But I think the agents on this case will do a very good job. However, the decision to prosecute is not going to come from the agents that worked the case, and that's where my concern comes in. It's not in the FBI's ability to investigate this type of case very thoroughly and do a very good job doing so, because I think they will. But again, my question mark really comes from once the case is proved or disproved, right? If they do a full investigation and there was nothing there, then hey, that's our justice system in action, and then so be it. That's the results of the investigation. But if something is there, which I would be shocked if there's not. But if something is there, then do the people that make the decision to file the charges, what are they going to do? Because those assistant U.S. attorneys answer to bosses who are very high. And I would like to think that if something criminal was there, they would in fact file those charges. However, look, Clinton just met with Obama at Martha's Vineyards over the weekend. I don't have a lot of confidence in this administration to do the right thing. I really don't, and I do know the Clintons are very powerful within the Democratic Party. I'm not naive in that, and so that's kind of where I'm going with that.
Well, but I also think you're seeing the Clintons right now begging for Obama to step in. But you know as well as I do, Obama's all about power and politics and party, right? And he wants his party to retain power, and even as much as
I think he's about his own agenda more than his own party.
Right, and he's politically savvy in the sense that he knows that he needs, in order to keep his agenda, his party needs to keep in power. He knows Hillary's poison, and I really think turn on her and unleash the DOJ, because, like I said, I think that they are just done with her.
Look, I hope so, and not because I dislike Hillary Clinton. I mean, I do. I make no bones about that. But I hope so because in this case, it's a big deal. I mean, I hold her as Secretary of State. She was the one that the phone rang at 3 a.m., and she is responsible, in my opinion, for a lot of that. And I would like her held accountable because she has been so dismissive of this whole Benghazi affair, and it sickens me, particularly as we've gotten a chance to know Tonto and everything else. And look, this whole thing makes me sick. And so, yeah, she absolutely needs to be held accountable, again, just because I think that it's the right thing to do in this case. We are up against a break, my friend.
Jersey Joe just linked a Breitbart story. Essentially saying that the FBI is confident they can pull a majority of the server.
A break. When we come back, Sean is going to lead us in our immigration block on the SHR Media Network Sackheads Radio Show. That's your cue for a commercial.
I'm going to be made fun of for this one, right?
That's your cue for the commercial.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying cow for the stupid promo.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
If our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border and says coordination, we have to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to The Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
And we're back, Sackhead's radio show. I'm Sackhead Clint. 2 oceans and 3 continents away is Sackhead Sean. Yes?
It gets further and further.
You're chasing Sacco. Of course you're getting further and further. I'm monitoring you on GPS.
Dude, I highly suggest if you can get your hands on an SR-71, do it. It's definitely worth the investment.
Another one?
So, I have the 81, but if you want to go with the 71, you could do that too.
I'm going to go with the 72.
75.
Whatever it takes.
Amazingly, this Congress has done nothing. Both the left and the right, everyone's using this as their political chip in order to try to win this next election. And the problem is as we've seen in San Francisco and we've seen numerous times, while they're fighting this and using this as political leverage, the idiots in Washington are essentially wasting time to keep incidents like this from happening in the current. I'm speaking, of course, about an incident in Lee County, Florida this past Saturday in which an illegal immigrant by the name of Brian Omar Hyde allegedly killed 3 people. He was being held after he killed his pregnant cousin, Scarlett Pitts, a 17-year-old gal, her 19-year-old boyfriend,
and his aunt.
As well as his own aunt, and the mother of Starlet Pitts, Dorla Pitts, to what Police Lieutenant Matt Sands for Lee County described as all homicide scenes are normally violent, but even for us, this scene was considered almost unimaginable. And he's originally from Belize, where he fled to the U.S. To live with his aunt to avoid a trial in Belize for assaulting of a police officer. From November, he was then he was tried in absentia and found guilty in Belize. He was also wanted for robbery and a bunch of other things out of Belize, and came to America to hide from Belize authorities. I just want you to think about that.
Hang on, and he was awaiting Sean, and he was awaiting a court hearing here in the U.S. as an illegal immigrant.
Right?
Was he not?
But I just wanted to point out the fact that, no, he absolutely was. There was an ICE detainer that was filed, and he was system for everybody was so strict. Now, and appropriately so, now our immigration charges, our immigration laws and procedures are so horrible that we have criminals fleeing their country and trying to hide here because of the immigration policy of this administration and this country in general. And listen, as much as I want to throw on this administration our problem with immigration, reality is it's both the left
where Victor Martinez Ramirez, who's 29 years old, he's a criminal alien, extensive criminal record, and he murdered Marilyn Ferris, who he beat to death with a claw hammer during a home invasion robbery about 3 weeks ago in Santa Barbara County. Again, this is somebody with a long criminal history, here illegally, criminal alien, and I'm not happy that these stories keep happening, but I am happy that they're finally being reported, and that these criminal aliens are on the forefront of discussion nowadays. You have sheriffs coming out right and saying, "Hey, listen, the blood trail, quote unquote, runs directly from Washington to where this woman was murdered." And look, he's absolutely right. There was also another man, Jose Fernando Villagomez, who was charged in the attack of that lady also in Santa Maria, California, Santa Barbara County. So of 2014, and being in possession of methamphetamine, which, hey, California, good job, way to make that a misdemeanor now. You guys nailed that.
Nailed it.
Yeah, completely. That doesn't make you violent at all. Good job, you guys nailed that. Again, and he also, again, another criminal alien. Their next court date, or their court date, was on August 13th. But it sickens me. And then you have the in Arizona, you have a sheriff down there, the Pinal, Pinal, the county sheriff down there, who had 3 criminals specifically. One was a Russian national who set a law enforcement assaults and batteries over a couple different states. And Immigration and Customs Enforcement said the sheriff set all 3 of them and hundreds like them free in communities such as his. And that even the law enforcement notification system, which is designed to let authorities know of pending releases, is too little too late. It's, oh, yeah, by the way, here's who's being released. Good luck with that. Yeah, thanks for the note, jackasses.
Right.
Well, why don't you do your freaking job?
Thanks for the text message after it happened.
Right. How about you do your freaking job, and then we won't have to deal with cleaning up your mess.
Well, and again, you're starting to see and look at it's the very California-esque way, and I say it all the time. California is the petri dish of liberal, progressive, disastrous thought in this country. And it comes back to bite us in the ass. But California has been running the sanctuary city approach in some of its cities for a long time. And other states and cities started to jump on board. And then the federal government essentially jumped on board and followed suit. So, it's this ridiculous this as the Democrat and the Obama administration. Here's why. You could have forced votes. You could have fought hard. Long before it got to the point where it is politically savvy, you could have done something, and they didn't. And it's absolutely infuriating to me that they're just going to sit on their damn hands like it was nothing. And really, I'm going to tell you right now, when we talk about Trump and Trump being so popular right now, and there are still a lot of conservatives who are trying to figure out why, and I say to them, because topics like this matter to the average, everyday person, both on the left and on the right. And in a lot of circles, you're starting to see immigration being the biggest concern that people have all the way around. So, it's not a shock when Trump comes out and says what he says about illegal immigration and what he wants to do and how he wants to do it and blah, 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 blah. And is very honest about it in the sense of he's not playing the political dance game. He's being straightforward and discussing it. I think that's why it's resonating. Listen, we know we have an immigration problem in this country. We know it is the biggest ignored problem going on right now in government, in my humble opinion. And until
I agree. So Trump came out and he basically said, "Hey, no anchor babies," right? And I know Ben Carson made a statement too that it's ridiculous how somebody can get pregnant in Mexico, come to the United States, give birth, and boom, now that kid is a citizen, and the parents have an anchor baby here. And there's discussion about this, about the 14th Amendment, basically saying, hey, so if it says, the U.S. Constitution says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state where they reside. Okay. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. So, that brings up an interesting argument about anchor babies. And we know illegal immigration is a major problem here. We've discussed it. We've highlighted some of that. And I have a couple other stories, too, out of three criminal aliens, which we named earlier out of Arizona. But if a child is born here, even if the parents are themselves illegal, the Constitution is pretty clear that all persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens. It doesn't say if you're born of legal citizens. And I think we can have constitutional discussions about that, hey, if the parents violated United States law and came in and had a child which is now a citizen of the United States, the parents can choose to take that United States citizen across the border to Mexico because they have to go back home and live there, and that child is still a citizen of the United States pursuant to our Constitution. Or they can choose to give that child up for adoption, and they can still go back to Mexico or whatever country they're from that they came here from illegally, and the child here in the United States, then those same parents are going to have to make an adult choice to either give that child up to remain here in the United States, or if they think the child is going to have a better life here, then that may be a difficult decision for them to make. They may have to make it. Or they can take their child as parents, because we're not looking to separate anybody, back to Mexico where they can raise that child. But they are not going to be allowed to stay here. What do you think about that for a solution? Because I haven't heard any candidates say that.
No, I think it's... Listen, I think it's a great solution, to be completely honest with you.
And it's constitutional.
It becomes choice, right? Hey, the left is all about choice. We hear about that all the time.
Right.
And there are plenty of people here who will adopt those children. I speak from experience.
Yes.
But what you're doing is you are giving the option. So we're not even being the big bad government who's just taking these children away.
Nope.
From these poor illegal immigrants.
Nope.
Right? You're giving them the option. You can all leave. Your child has the right to stay and can be adopted.
Yep.
And therefore may live a better life. And if that's truly your goal when you have an anchor baby, as a lot of them state, my goal is so my children have a better life. I understand that. I think every parent wants that for their child.
Mm-hmm.
This is the opportunity to do so. Do I think that every single anchor baby born here is born with malice so people can stay in the country? Probably not. But what you see with a lot of other, usually people who are accidentally born here, which does happen, they usually return to their home country, and they may have that dual citizenship, but they usually go to that return country. I 100% agree with you, and I am still, I can't even fathom why we would do anything but that. I think it's a brilliant idea, and I think it's a way to send to the other people who think they're coming here to have that anchor baby is, hey, you know what? You can come here. You can get citizenship if you decide to leave them, but you're not saying no matter what. And that alone, once that word gets out, I think that alone will change a lot of people's perspective as they're coming here. And, I know whenever we have the illegal immigration argument, everyone automatically turns to Mexico, and you're anti-Mexican and anti-Hispanic and blah, 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 blah. Reality is what it is. We have a huge influx of Mexican illegals here because of geography and because Mexico as a country sucks right now.
Hey,
we don't have a lot of illegal Canadians.
So
right?
if you're here illegally from Mexico, and that's kind of the big topic of discussion because of geography, as you put it, does that mean you're a geographist instead of a racist? Next time I get accused of being a racist when I talk about criminal immigration, I'm going to say, no, I'm a geographist.
Well, why wouldn't you, right? Because that really sums up exactly who you are. I'm just glad for once you're being accused of being the racist, and it's not just me.
Who is accusing me of being a racist? I'm clearly a geographist.
Oh, man, you make one comment about Ken, though, and it changes your whole approach on life and how people view you. Listen, it's clearly a major problem. And you know what? This idea, I think, is a great idea. I think it's a good approach to have. And I will listen to just about any idea right now that has to do with actually fixing our system. And I don't necessarily have to agree 100% with the idea, but the fact that there is no argument except for vitriol, the fact that there is no advancement in trying to change our immigration system, the fact that there's no protection for our borders, the fact that our ICE agents on the border and immigration agents are essentially working handcuffed, we absolutely are doing a disservice to a lot of people in this country and other countries. And I do mean that. And listen, when we talk about Mexico, I always tell everyone, if Mexico is so great, why are you trying to come here?
Right. Look, and you brought up an interesting point. You brought up an interesting point about ICE working handcuffed. Now, there is an unconfirmed report circulating, and I can't say where I saw this information, but there is an unconfirmed report circulating that when new ICE agents are issued handcuffs, they're told, no, these aren't for the criminals, these are for you.
Right, these are to keep you from being able to draw your weapon effectively,
right,
and hurting some of those poor individuals.
Right, these aren't for you to put on; these are for you to put on yourself. Yeah.
Ken has made a declaration in the chat room, and I want to run this by you and see whether or not it's been voted upon.
Okay.
Per Ken McClinton, the exceptional conservative one, Clint is a geographist. Sean is a racist, and that is the law of the land.
Second,
yes or no?
Seconded by me and voted in the affirmative.
So,
because it's accurate.
What I say, you know. You guys wonder why I'm a tinfoil hat wearing paranoid person, right?
Yeah, because you're a racist, and you think that even chatting with Ken McClinton is going to give you some form of weird African disease. You've said it to me before off the air.
Do you remember the name of said disease?
Umbufu, I think you said, but I'm not 100% sure.
And
Ken, I apologize it had to come out like this on the air.
I'm just trying to Google that disease one more time. Could you just spell it for me slowly?
You're the one that said it. How should I know how to spell it?
Well, no. You're the one who's recalling it. I didn't remember the name. So if you could spell that slowly while I Google it, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, it's spelled
Was it Umbufu?
Yeah, I think that's what you said.
Okay. All right. Good. That's a waterborne disease. So, no.
Hang on. So it's UMBOOFU. I just Googled it, and it says Umbufu is waiting for you to enjoy free adult video chat live at chatterbait.com. So why would you say you're afraid Ken is going to Umbufu you? What are you guys doing with your Skype?
Now you understand why I'm. Oh, so hey, listen, we both know a week and a half.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're going to nail it.
Major issues sitting. Huh?
Yeah, I said yeah, and I'm sure they're going to nail it.
Well, two major issues sitting right in front of them, right? You're looking at illegal immigration and whether or not they'll actually do something about it, or we'll see the their true reasoning and see if it drags into the election. And B, you also have the Planned Parenthood videos that they refuse to really do anything about before. It begs the question, why is anyone ever, or why is any Congress member shocked when they have a rating of 16, 15, or 17? When you have issues like this, that was front and center when they went on break, it's been front and center while they're gone, and now that they're the reality is what it is. They could be out, I don't know, with like poker sticks picking up trash around Washington, D.C., right, when they're not passing stupid bills. They could do something actually productive for once.
Right.
Instead of just taking a month-long friggin' vacation.
Yeah, no.
I digress.
You do. We're talking about immigration right now. Look, I want to talk about kind of a breaking story. There were more protests in St. Louis after law enforcement officers shot and killed a suspect who was fleeing from them, had a gun, and then shot at them. They returned fire and shot and killed this individual. 150 people approximately gathered. They started throwing bottles and obscene gestures and expletives at the cops, saying Black Lives Matter. They were questioning what police could have done to de-escalate the situation. Okay, so somebody is armed. There's a report that there was crack cocaine and was shooting at law enforcement. What would they have the officers do?
Hug him.
Or die.
Hug him. They should have... Right, well, you know what? Only... blue lives don't matter, right? It doesn't matter.
Right.
The innocent people standing around that guy, they don't matter, right? It doesn't matter. This guy's misunderstood. Listen, the system let him down yet again. And then the big bad police arrived out of nowhere miraculously, just showed up and decided that they were going to provoke this guy into shooting them. Mm-hmm. And really, they should. It's time for some reflection on behalf of the police,
right?
As to why you're showing up to calls with guys with guns who are high on crack cocaine, and inciting them into shooting at you.
Now, I do want to say the initial reports I heard was that he fired at officers.
Until the second round is fired, the third round is fired. I just want to know what the left and these Black Lives Matter people, I want to know what their threshold is before the officer can engage and defend themselves. And by the way, they always turn around and try to say, try to push it onto the cop shooting this guy, never taking into account that when that cop pulls the trigger, it's not always out of fear for their own lives, but the fear of the lives of the innocent people around jackasses like this guy.
Absolutely. And look, I want to say something here. Some of the people there were talking about cops have this us versus them mentality, and here's my fear. And I really hope this doesn't happen. But I really believe that the environment right now, and there is so much anti-law enforcement sentiment out there right now, that they are going to create the very thing they are accusing law enforcement of having, which is an us versus them mentality.
Yes.
Because if you push a particular group enough, and look, even when they're justified, and how many of these cases have they been justified? Most of them. Look, when the officer's wrong, he or she is wrong, and they need to be held accountable. I am 110% behind that.
Absolutely.
But when they're not, and they are justified, and they did the right thing to protect their lives and lives of other innocents in the area, like you said, you put a group down enough, and I'm afraid that there is going to be this us versus them mentality that's going to prevail again, like it used to exist. And I really hope that's not the case, but that's
just a few. Stick around.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team
Dude, I'm not saying Kafka is stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night. Tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy, work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
If our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border to coordination, we have to take
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to The Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
And we're back on the Sackheads Radio Show for our final block, the Iran block. Sean is now three oceans and 4 continents away.
7.
Can you still hear? You're all the way back where you started.
Yeah, I was waiting to see if you did the math really quick in your head. I'm actually just got into New Jersey.
You actually are just about to walk in the door. It's bizarre. And still no Saco.
Still no Saco. You know what's funny is I was literally a block and a half away from the studio, and it was either a possum or Saco. I don't know, but I had to turn the other way, and I'm chasing it down now to find out.
All right, well, you let us know if and when you catch it. or him.
Oh, man. Whatever.
So, new information came out that the Iranians will be allowed, as part of some secret deal, that they're going to be allowed to use its own experts to inspect Parchin nuclear site, which is where they believe they have worked on high explosive detonators and so forth for nuclear arms. That the UN's agency, the International Atomic Energy Agency, will not be conducting those investigations, and again, they're going to allow Iran just to do it themselves because they'll be totally fine with it. And a completely unrelated story. Have you heard about Russia selling them missiles?
Yeah, totally unrelated. Oh man, I'm trying to even think what this would be like. Somebody who is, what's the word I'm looking for? Somebody on parole being allowed to do their own parole checks, right?
Right.
So you're on parole for, say, dealing drugs.
Right.
And now all you have to do is get your buddy who's a quote-unquote professional to come in, or your uncle or your cousin or whatever, and search your room and then notify the parole company or the parole agency that you are, in fact, not in violation because we didn't find anything. And then your neighbor next door who happens to deal in firearms has agreed to start selling you guns just because.
Right, even though there's an international ban against it, or a law prohibiting it.
Well, listen. We know how laws work, right? Most of them are just a nuisance for those who operate continuously the law.
Right, because if those laws didn't exist, they would be law-abiding citizens.
Right. Now you're understanding my logic on this, right?
Right. We, in fact, make people criminals by passing laws that they violate.
Right.
If we had no laws, we would have no criminals. The crime rate would be 0.
Well, and you're targeting these poor Russia. Listen, we're targeting Iran with these horrific laws to keep them from producing, or we used to, for producing a nuclear weapon. But now we've loosened it up a little bit, and as a matter of fact, to show how much we trust them, and they've given us zero reason whatsoever to trust them, they're going to monitor themselves because, listen, it's the honor system when it comes to nuclear weapons, apparently. So that's a good system. And then, even better, the laws forbidding the rogue nation that we're essentially in a Cold War with that just invaded another country and is still actively fighting to keep that country. Well, they're going to go ahead and sell missiles to the rogue nation that is now self-inspecting their nuclear... son of a bitch!
Right. Hang on a second. I just had a Sacco sighting. Sean, wherever you are, you need to get back to the studio.
Did he make it to the studio?
Hang on. I'm going to check the door. I hear something stirring.
Oh, put out the bait. Put out the bait. Remember how we used to put the taco under the table to catch his leg?
I don't know what he did to you, Sean, but when you went after that possum, he jinked you. So you're probably in New Jersey again by now, but Sacco is at his desk.
Well,
and not only that, he's got this look of wonder on his face. He's looking at all the computers that are on properly. He looked at me. He looked at the soundboard. He looked at me. He looked at the computers again. He looked at me, and he is completely dumbfounded. He has no idea what kind of sorcery I pull off to get everything going right now. He looks completely dumbfounded. Hang on, I got to try and get a picture of this to send to you, because the look on his face is absolutely priceless right now. Hang on a sec, I'm taking a photo right now. Okay, I'm gonna
wait to see this.
I'm gonna. Did you get it,
Sacco?
Hey guys.
Did you get it, Sean?
How you doing, buddy?
You know.
I'm waiting for it right now, but Sacco, I feel like you just won Publishers Clearinghouse, and I'm interviewing you. How do you feel at this very moment?
I'm not gonna lie. I walked in and I was like, I don't see Sean. I see Clint, and the show's going on. How? I was like, man, I'm like...
Oh, this is immediately...
You must have got the picture.
I looked...
Immediately going to... Oh, I'm going right to social media with this. Are you kidding me?
That was a completely impromptu, candid photo, which makes it better.
For those of you who don't know, my work schedule changed, and it's hard for me to make it on time now. So
don't be making excuses, Sacco. We're talking about Iran right now.
Oh.
Is that somebody who brings me food at a restaurant?
Anyways, carry on, guys. I'll go back to hiding.
Joe Biden's going to be in a restaurant and be like, "Server, I'm supposed to wipe you. Hey, Toots, get over here."
Oh, man.
Hillary may not have wiped any servers, but I sure as hell did. You see the bombs on that one?
Oh, my God.
I'd like to wipe her a little bit.
Horrible. No, go on.
So, if anyone right now wants to see said picture, make sure you follow us at Sackheads right now. It's up there on Twitter. Dude, that might be picture of the year right there. I'm not going to lie. I don't know how you did such a great job.
We have camera equipment being media. I'm not trying to brag. But I used some very high-tech Polaroid type stuff.
What? Polaroid what?
This might be my favorite picture of Sacco of all time. It's absolutely amazing. It truly is.
And it captures his essence, and now people can understand why you weren't sure if it was a possum you cited or Sacco.
It actually, I think it was Sacco. Now that I'm looking at this picture, because you don't see a lot of black-haired possums, right? Usually they're pretty white.
Right.
But just the way he scurried between the fence and the building, it looked very possum-like.
So did you start... Now, I want to apologize to Ken. Ken, Sean didn't mean anything that he chased the black possum and he left the white possum alone. I think Sean was sighting. But I'm not sure because it is Sean.
Well, and what's my nickname?
The racist.
Well, no. What?
The blatant racist. The blatant bigot.
That was it. The blatant bigot.
And I am a geologist.
Every day to wake up to hear Clint call me that. And here's why, and I'll just be completely honest with you for a minute. There's no justification for his statement. That's the best part about all this.
That's not true because people have been listening to us for a couple of years now, and they know that I'm 100% accurate.
Oh man! All right, we're getting into wrap up before we finish our subject. So going back to Iran and Russia and Clint being a racist. Clint,
what?
It's, and here's the thing though with this administration. All right, say I understand that they are all in on this whole Iran thing, right? Because they're pushing the agenda. They want it to work because it has to work for them to look good. But when it comes to Russia, if
And the weapon system that the Russians are trying to sell, the U.S. obviously is against it, because why wouldn't they be? But it's the S-300 surface-to-air missile system, and according to the State Department, to Fox News, they say that specific S-300 missile system is not technically prohibited under the United Nations sanctions or the nuclear deal, but either way, the State Department doesn't want that deal to proceed. So, technically, Russia can sell them.
Right.
Way to give them a way out.
Well, because if Russia needs something, it's a way out, right?
Right. Or a way in to another country.
What they should say is, listen, for every missile Russia that you sell to Iran, that's going to be one more bomb that we drop on Iran. So you keep selling it to them, right? Keep perpetuating this violence that they're going to cause. Be part of the problem instead of part of the solution. And listen, everybody, everyone who's just about everyone except for this administration is completely against this Iran deal, except for the other jackasses that signed on. But more importantly, even in Europe, the European countries that were involved in the Iran deal, they are very, very much against Russia right now in all of their provocative nature and attitude, especially with Crimea, and then, talks about Estonia and other countries that may fall next. At some point, they need to start, I hate to say it, but they actually have to start banding together and holding Russia accountable for this behavior. Right?
Right. Do you have preseason football on your brain?
They're a pass rusher. What? Right. The bowling ball in my brain? Are we going back to gravity?
No. My brain stopped working about that a while ago. I don't think I could recreate that if I tried.
No, you couldn't, actually. I would bet money that you could not recreate that if you tried.
How much money?
But listen, something needs to get done. And, I know the focus is on Iran right now and the nukes, and it should be. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things there that we need to discuss. But the more Russia ratchets up their rhetoric over the last few years, and it's continuing, and now with this, I think, and at what point are people going to start saying, by people I mean countries, going to start standing up and say, hey, you know what? Russia needs to be dealt with. And, we kind of looked the other way with Crimea, and they did. The international community looked the other way with the invasion of Crimea. There's enough evidence to support that they were Russian regular military that did it. There's no question in anyone's mind the international community looked the other way. And now they're involved in this missile sales with Iran. And again, is the international community just going to look the other way?
Because it's technically not illegal. It's not prohibited under the UN, and it's not prohibited under the terms of the agreement. So, yeah, I think they're going to look the other way. They'll make a stink about it. They'll do some saber rattling and call foul, but I don't think anybody's going to do anything about it.
I just want, you know what? I would love to see Netanyahu just land in Russia, kick open the premier's, and I say premier because that's what Putin is now, the premier's door, and just slap him in the face. And just be like, you know what? All y'all are bitches, and if I have to do this myself, I'm going to do it.
And make it a pay-per-view event. Because I would pay to see that happen,
dude. And we could do it to fund the Israeli Nuclear Defense Act to defend them from Iran.
Ooh, I like it.
Good cause, right? Ken, absolutely. BB will drop the mic on his way out. He is a classy mofo, and he knows how to party. That mic's getting dropped. He probably will throw his arms out in the side like a T, and then I'm going to guess he's going to wrangle out where he leans back a little bit and just takes nice, big, long, slow steps.
Okay. I'm visualizing that.
And then, downs a bottle of wine.
Did he respond?
Well, he's probably laughing too hard right now to respond, but yeah.
Or he's preparing legal paperwork against you specifically.
He's actually he's on his way to the courthouse right now to file yet another injunction against me. Hey, you know what? If this radio show gig doesn't work out, I can just go on tour as a comedian called the Blatant Bigot, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you'd nail it. You'd have tons of people paying to see.
See me hang.
So if he's
just for the name alone,
they said you was hung, and they was right.
They was right. Oh man, yeah. You know what? This is just, and we talked about this. We're not the only ones, but we've talked about this. This whole deal with Iran's going to get worse before it gets better. Russia, and listen, we already know that Russia and China have reached out to Iran to assist them in building their nuclear facilities. We already know that we are going to train Iran on how to defend said nuclear facilities. Now Russia is offering these defense and give them technology, and that's the other thing too. It's not just them getting these missiles to defend these nuclear facilities. It's also them getting technology advancement and information on producing a delivery system.
Potentially. I mean, the S-300 is a surface-to-air missile. Because I think Iran knows that if this goes sideways,
I'm not in the room, isn't it?
You can't check your.
Why not? He just juked you over 7 continents and 4 oceans. He's got a body cam. It's covered in hair. You won't be able to see anything, but he's wearing it.
Wow, you jerk!
When he goes out to his car and it's on blocks and written in soap on the window is "Who's laughing now, funny boy?" We'll know what's up.
I'm like, thanks for the car wash. Can I lock the soap down? Jeez.
Hey, Socko, I'm gonna play a fun game. It's like geolocating, only it's your tires.
Still, thanks for the car wash.
They could be anywhere. Oh man! Well, listen. Iran is just gonna. More people are getting on board, including some Democrats. But you know what? I'm challenging them to actually take it to this administration, to take it to this president, and say, yeah, you know what? This deal sucks. It is a treaty, even though you can call it whatever you want. This is a treaty you're signing, and we don't approve it. And essentially, find a way to dump it.
We'll see if they have the testicular fortitude to do it. I don't believe that they do. Congress doesn't exercise its powers.
I don't believe they do either. Well, and that's the problem is we've seen it before, right? There's many times that they should have exercised powers that they did not. And this is going to be another one of those times. You know what?
The term You have to actually write out bullshit. You can't say BS. Because the Obama administration...
How awesome would that be if somebody...
The Obama administration may say it stands for something awesome, right? Like, this Iran deal is beyond super. So, there we go.
Beyond super.
It's beyond successful.
Oh, man. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, good times.
You know what You know what I'm staring at in the studio right now that I haven't seen in a while, Sean, and I've actually never looked at in a while, is my Lego guy. Yeah, we still have him. My little Lego guy.
Oh, I can't wait till the webcam goes on. We're gonna get that up soon. What? Oh, folks, it has been just so much fun, hasn't it? It's nice to be back. And listen, I do have one quick announcement to make before we go off air tonight. My life is obviously. Because it really has just been a magical venue of support when I needed it the most. So I want to say thank you to everybody for that.
Yeah, I hate to see you walking away from Edge of Liberty, Sean, and we're all here for you, and very happy Jersey Joe's going to pick it up and going to be a part of the SHR Media Network. But this is a wrap, my friend. This is a wrap, much like Jared Fogel's going to be in prison. We will be back next week here on the SHR Media Network. Make sure you check us out at Sackheads on Twitter, at Facebook, Sackheads Radio. Great SHR Media Network shows. Thank you so much. We will talk to you soon.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio. The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever